Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local celebrity hosts Steve-O and Renee. Sit back each week while Steve-O and Renee educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O and Renee with today's expert in their field.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Ask the Expert Show, the most informative show on radio in South Florida.
Why was your voice so high?
I don't know. Why did it do it?
I don't know. I think it's the headphones. They're squishing your head or something. I don't know.
My name is Steve-O, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Renee. And Renee and I have some of the best sponsors on our show, the shows. They are the experts. We have been so lucky because every one of our shows has the top experts, like today's show, which has become now like an old friend of ours now.
Yes.
Let me introduce you to the owner of Weiss Memorial Chapel, Jack Weiss. Hey, they both have the
same name.
Same name. How does that work?
Welcome to the show, Jack.
Hi. Good afternoon.
And if you have a question today about pre-needs or funeral services, please call us at 888-575-1470. And you could also watch our show. Why are you looking at me?
I think it's 565.
Oh, did you give me the wrong number as usual?
Hey, I might have.
That's why nobody ever calls me.
Maybe that's why. Blame Steve-O. Anyway, you can also watch our show today by going to www.wwnnradio.com. Click on the WNN TV link, and voila, there we are. So, Jack, tell our audience a little bit about your background in the funeral business.
All right. I am the third generation funeral director in this family. My grandfather started this business in the late 1800s up in Westchester County, and roughly 25 or 30 years ago, we came down to Florida to relax and take it easy, which is very difficult in my type of business since it's 7 days a week. And I discovered that there was a need again for an independent funeral chapel. And Gloria and I opened up Gloria's my wife, and we opened up a business together in Boynton Beach, and that's basically the story. I am family oriented, because when you grow up in a town and everybody knows each other, so you don't treat anybody as a stranger, and I still try to follow through with that whoever comes in, I try, and of course it's an unfortunate time, but I try to treat them as if they're a friend of the family.
This is like the Cheers bar show right now.
No, I know, but he has that way about him, the compassionate side, and so does Gloria. I mean, they're such nice people, and you could just see that.
Thank you.
You know, I want to say something. We never know when we're going to lose somebody. And I want you
Why are you looking at me?
Well,
don't look at me.
I want you to write this number down, because sometimes when we lose a loved one, we're like scurrying around, who should we call? And you almost do like the old Yellow Pages, or now it's Google now.
Right.
So, Jack, give everybody your phone number for Weiss Memorial Chapel.
My number is 561-737-0001. The reason it's not 3 zeros is I couldn't afford it at that time.
And your funeral chapel is in Boynton Beach,
My
is that
funeral
correct?
chapel is in Boynton Beach at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard. We have just finished, and within the next week or so, opening up a brand new parking lot behind the building that will hold about 55 to 60 cars.
That's wonderful.
And then you've kind of sort of got a remodeled chapel.
Yes, I do, and I have a beautiful mural in the front to try to make a difficult time easy on the family, so that the chapel itself is nice and pleasant looking, not depressing.
It's beautiful. He's trying to be real humble now. And they're built a new parking lot, because sometimes in these funerals, there are just like hundreds and hundreds of people there. So
to accommodate everyone.
And I think what's really important is, you've been in business for how long now?
Well, the business in Florida is roughly about 25 years. And then the family business, as I said, is well over 100 years old.
A decade.
Not me, but the business itself. And during the years, we've come across different circumstances of why families should not wait until something actually happens. And I wanted to discuss this with you, Steve.
We're gonna
and
talk
Renee.
Yes,
needs
about
today.
pre-planning.
So some people don't even know there's a such thing as pre-planning or pre-need. So let's explain to them what that is first.
When this is something new in Florida, let me take a step back in a minute. Most of the time, wherever we were from, whether it was Philadelphia, New York, or Boston, we grew up in a neighborhood where there was a neighborhood funeral director. So you didn't really need pre-need because you belonged to an organization, a church, a synagogue, where somebody would step forward and say, the funeral home is blank funeral home, and you should go there. So this was understood. Now, when people moved to Florida, some of the older funeral homes were in business here. They are here in name only. Most of them have been bought out by a multinational conglomerate, and which leads to certain problems. So one of the things that has happened over the years is pre-arrangement plans in Florida, which was never heard of before. What that means is that a family can come forward, sit down with a funeral director, preferably me, of course, but they can plan out what they want and how they want to do it and firm it in so that there's no guesswork. You can put a deposit down, you can pay it out, and the money is fully secured. It's with the state of Florida, and the funeral home really has no control over that money until the person passes on. There are several reasons why a family should do this. One of them is that they want to make sure that their assets, whether it's for a funeral or family assets, are passed on to the family members they want, and also that their plans on how they wish to be buried, whether it's here in Florida, whether it's cremation, or whether it's up north, are followed through. Or if you're a veteran, you're letting those people know in your family that this is what you want to do.
Right, you don't want to pass the expense on to your family members.
Not only that, you want not to have a problem where if a family member has a disagreement with you, which happens sometimes in families, and you're leaving it up to them to make a decision that you may not want. Maybe it's a second marriage. Maybe they don't get along with your second wife. You want to protect what you have to do. You would never go out and purchase something just by walking in the door and saying, I want that item. You're going to research it. You're going to make sure that that item is the best item. And that's why it's important to deal with somebody like me. It's my type of business because I know what my competition is, and I know what I can do and how I can better do it for you.
And you have to be licensed for this too.
Yeah, and I was going to say that you're not a big conglomerate, so of course your prices are much less.
Yes, my overhead is less because of that one reason.
And tell everybody the difference between dealing with the big conglomerates or a locally owned independent.
When you're going into a conglomerate and the gentleman that you're dealing with is going to be a very nice person, there's no question of that with any other type of profession. However, they are locked in to how they can talk to you. They are locked in to the prices they give you. And with
Do they have a script?
They have a script. It's called the general price list.
That's it.
And I have a general price list, but I want to make sure that when a family comes in, I listen to them. I don't have anybody else to dictate to me on how I should conduct my business. So I want to make sure that the family coming in gets what they want to do for their type of service.
How about Joan Rivers? I mean, was that pre-need all the things she asked for?
To have celebrities at the funeral?
She wanted celebrities. She wanted red carpet. There was all kinds of things
That's
that
kind
she
of over
wanted.
the top.
I thought it was a little bit over the top too.
But see, Jack could have accommodated her as well.
Oh, easily. Might have had to put a double-decker parking lot on there.
That's true.
Now, what do you service? Palm Beach and Broward, or mostly Palm Beach?
I service throughout the state of Florida, throughout the state of the United States. There have been circumstances where somebody who knew me from back home, lived in another state, somebody died, they wanted to be buried back up in Westchester County. They called me first to see what they can do, and I made arrangements to transfer that person
You do
from
shipping.
that place
You
of
do
death
yes.
to New York, where I actually did nothing for them financially. I didn't take a dime, but I was there to help them.
Okay, so and there's a lot of snowbirds down here too.
Right, so he just says he does ship the bodies.
Exactly.
He handles that as well. So you do cremations
I
also.
do cremations, even though it's contrary to certain religious disciplines. A family should get what they want to do, and if they want to do that, and that again is what we were talking about in the beginning of making a decision. There are certain families that through the years have decided that they don't want to be buried in New York. They want to be cremated. However, they may have some children that are religious. Now, they have been told by me that, you need to let your children know that you want to be cremated.
Because I know in the Jewish religion you're not allowed to be cremated. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. But traditional Judaism is against it. So if you have a family situation and you want to be cremated, they need to know that. And you need to know beforehand that that is settled. Because you don't want to have, and it's not the person that died because they don't know what's going on, but the wife. So the wife, you don't want your spouse to have to fight with the children at a time of this time when you need to get this completed and done in a proper manner, to have somebody come forward and saying, we don't want to do this and we're going to go to court.
Well, it just makes it so much easier for the family members, because I told you I went through this a few years ago, and my mother pre-planned, and I just walked into the chapel. Everything was already taken care of, and it does make it easier. She wanted to discuss it with me, but unfortunately I didn't want to talk to her about it.
Yeah, that's a favorite expression. I don't want to talk about it, Ma.
Because you feel like if you don't talk about it, it's not going to happen.
That's
but
right.
Unfortunately, that's not the way it goes.
That's absolutely right. But
so when you pre-plan, so you say, for instance, somebody comes in and they pre-plan, and they have to pay. So is it like monthly that they have to pay?
They can pay it monthly, they can pay it quarterly, they can pay it yearly. Remember that we're guaranteeing this price. So in order to make sure that you're getting what you paid for, you have to sign a contract.
So once the contract's in place, the rates don't go up?
No. The only time that rates go up if it's a cash advance, which we have no control over, like the airplane's airfare, the cost of a rabbi, or certified copies of the death certificate. But anything doing or having to be done by the funeral home, such as a casket or services, are fully guaranteed. And there's been times where, for example, family has called me up on the phone and said, Jack, you did a service for a relative of mine, and I have an agreement with XYZ Funeral Home, and I'd rather have you do the service.
We just got an email like
yes.
that.
I said to them, why don't you come in and let me look at the contract. Now, 90 times out of 100, my prices in 2014 are equal or less to what somebody did 5 or 10 years ago.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Because they were with a conglomerate and the prices are higher.
So if you pre-plan and 10 years out, they're still guaranteed those rates?
That is
for
correct.
The funeral?
For the funeral.
Right.
That is guaranteed.
Wow.
So what happens if somebody misses payments?
With us, in the fine print, is every contract has fine print, that contract can be null and void. I don't do that. Remember, I'm dealing with some elderly people who sometimes the budget comes in and they have to buy food rather than pay
they're on
for the
Social
funeral.
Security, right.
So they don't make a payment. At the time that the death occurs, if there's a balance due, we
Then
collect
the family
it, then the family will pay
right.
for it.
Well, see, that's the difference right there, working with a family-owned, independent, funeral home versus the big conglomerates. They probably would just tell you, go somewhere else.
And keep your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the right to keep you're absolutely 100%
Let's go to
right.
break. Let's go to break. When we come back, I've got so many questions about pre-need, and I want to hear some stories about people who didn't pre-plan.
I will tell you the stories. Of course, the names will be changed.
Okay.
To protect the innocent.
We'll be right back.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated to serving all of their families and honoring their needs. They are a full-service, independently owned funeral chapel. Weiss Memorial Chapel's concept is to have one low price for everyone, and to have one low price for at-need and pre-need funerals. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer your questions with knowledge and caring. They are committed to providing funeral and cremation services with the highest level of care, compassion, and professionalism to the Palm Beach area. They are proud to offer chapel services in their beautiful 150 occupy setting in Boynton Beach or provide services at any cemetery. Weiss Memorial Chapel, located at 202 East Boynton Beach Boulevard in Boynton Beach. Why pay more when the finest in service will cost you less? Call them at 561-737-0001. That's 561-737-0001.
And we're back with Jack Weiss from Weiss Memorial Chapels in Boynton Beach.
Such a cool place.
It is. Well, he's such a cool guy.
I know.
We were just saying that during the break.
Thank you.
Can you imagine sitting down? I mean, I remember losing my mother, and I was so depressed. And I think if we had someone like Jack sitting there with us, wow, what a calming personality he's got.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Been through this a few times, haven't you?
I've been there. Well, I may have said this before. Somebody said, "How can I do this when there's such a horrible situation?" I said, well, it doesn't do good, and it doesn't do me any good for both of us to be hysterical across from each other. So somebody has to be a guiding person. Somebody has to be calm and think through these things. And
it has to get to you on a daily basis. It's a tough business to be in.
well, you have to be able to take this situation and say you're helping people and not emotionally get involved. So there are times where, yes,
it takes a certain personality type, because for me, it would not be good. It wouldn't.
And yet
you have that calm. Yes, no, I'm just saying you have that calming factor about
you
you.
get calls all through the night?
Yes, I do. I have found, and I could be wrong, it's only me, there are many funeral homes that use an answering service.
I was going to say that.
And I found that several times I've gotten calls from families, and one of the reasons that they have called me and asked to use my business is because they've got on the phone and they've been put on a holding. They had shitty music played to them. The funeral director wasn't there. They couldn't get back to them. And this is a time when you really have to be there with a family.
No, I agree. Absolutely.
They are in a position where sometimes the death occurred immediately. They're told by the police or hospice, we need a funeral home. Now, and you have only a certain length of time before we have to go to the yellow pages and call somebody, which is not what families want. They want to know who they're dealing with and what the cost is.
You know, for the family, this is so important, the pre-need.
I know, and Jack had some stories. So, Jack, tell us some stories.
Well, there's several stories. Some years ago, I had to meet with a family, and they asked me if I could go to their house. They weren't able to go there, and I walked in, and we did business. And they were rather young. They were probably in their 50s, which if you're older than 50, that's not that's not old. But they were in their 50s. They were still working, and we sat down and we were talking for a while. And I said, by the way, most of the time the families I deal with are an older people. He says, listen, I have one child. It's my daughter. She's been married 3 times, and she broke up with her boyfriend just recently. Do you think I'm going to leave it up to her to plan my funeral? That's a reason. That's a reason there.
That's a scary thought, right? That really is.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah, you don't want to have this go into something like this. That who wants to think about all those things? I mean, you want to have this all planned out for you,
well,
so you don't have to
and
worry.
I understand that, but as somebody like myself, it's a scary thought to even go into a funeral home and start talking about your own death, because when you're pre-planning, but it's necessary.
It's necessary, and if a family is, there are several reasons. Several times, the husband is sick. She can't leave the house, but I can go to the house and meet
You do
with
house
him.
calls.
I will do house calls.
And who does that? Nobody does that.
And
Only Jack.
That's old
Only
school, but great.
Old school. The lot of reasons. Like I said, somebody is ill. Many people will do exactly what you said. They don't want to know about it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Then all of a sudden, somebody passes away, and the family got. I want to use the proper word. They went to a funeral home and they walked out of there with sticker shock.
Right.
So at that point, somebody said, how come you didn't call Weiss? And they came to me for the other member of the family, and they said, wow, your price is 50% less than what the other guy was.
I can believe that.
And funerals are very costly, so that's a big difference.
There's a big difference. And then the second thing with the majority of funeral homes, they have what they call an at-need and a pre-need charge. I don't believe in it, but what they do is that if you do it pre-need, you save money. But however, if the person is ill and passes away, then you pay more money. I don't think it's ethical.
Is that typically the case? Is that what they do?
Yes, down in Florida, they have a pre-need and an at-need charge. For example, if you go to a cemetery, which of course I'm not a cemetery, and you buy before the death occurred, they will give you a discount off their charges.
So they basically take advantage of you.
I wouldn't say an advantage. I said
she said it.
Yeah, I said it. I'm saying that.
You said it. It's just the way that's their business practice, because they want to make sure that they're going to do business. So how do you get people to do business with you? You offer a lesser cost before it happens. Once it happens, they have no choice.
Ooh, wow. That is really crazy.
Jack, give your phone number again.
My phone number is 561-737-0001.
You know what? I just want to put one thing in there because I don't want to miss this. You have a veterans package that you offer.
Yes, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't know. Although more and more veterans are being aware of this. The new cemetery that's opened on 441 just below Lantana Road has ability for veterans to be buried there, and also if they wish to have cremation, to have an area that they can have the urn placed in.
The cemetery is a very nice cemetery, by the way. I've been there.
It's well taken care of. It's your tax dollars at work. It will never have a problem. It will never be like some of the northern cemeteries where the stones fall over or it's not taken care of, the grass is not cut. And the people that work there are super nice. Most of them are all veterans. They treat the families 100%, and that's important to know. You also, the veterans have a considerable savings over going to some of the private cemeteries. They get a grave, they get the grave opening, get the liner, they get the stone, and of course perpetual care. But the other cemeteries, you have to pay for a grave, the grave opening, the liner, and so forth. So the only thing left is to pay for the funeral. And as for the funeral is concerned, I have a special a lesser costly service for the veterans. The same items that you would get going to a private cemetery will cost you less if you go to the veterans.
So you discount for veterans, which is really nice.
I know that's... And you know what? Now, we're talking pre-needs again. Can they... The caskets, can they pre-plan
the
caskets? Because you have a great selection of caskets.
Yes, we do, and every casket is usually less than what they would pay at another firm. The only thing you can't do when you're a veteran, which is not a major problem, is to guarantee the grave that you wanted to be buried in. The husband and wife are buried in a single grave. But you can't reserve that except, of course, when one passes on, and then that grave is reserved for you. But as a veteran, you're entitled to the burial there. The only thing is you can't make
for a spouse as well?
For the spouse as well.
Wow.
And also minor children and children, somebody that has been disabled upon birth and could be 30 or 40 years old.
I bet people didn't even know this.
Yeah, a lot of families don't know that. And if they really want more information, they can call the Veteran Service and they can ask information there, or they can call us and we'll guide them to the right spot. And that's 561-737-0001. And the ability to call me is at any time. Don't do it after 12 o'clock at night.
Jack needs to sleep.
But you can call me anytime, and even if it has nothing to do with doing business with me at that point in time, I'll answer any questions.
That's really nice.
Can you imagine one of those big companies doing that? Like you said,
well, this
you
is
get
why
an answering
this
service.
is why you're able to offer such lower prices, especially for the caskets as well.
Yeah, well, I don't have to pay somebody else's over. I mean, I have to pay taxes, of course, and insurance and things like that. But I don't have to have a charge based on the corporation.
Their determination, right? Exactly.
Paying their stockholders.
I don't know if this is a bad question to ask, but ballpark, what does cremation run?
Well, cremation can run, and this is It's very difficult to say this because there are other firms out there that do not offer a complete package. When I say that the cost of a cremation, including the medical examiner's approval, is $945, that includes everything, including the cost of the cremation. It includes securing the permits, including us to get the death certificates, and includes a plain, simple urn at no charge. So there are firms, if you do phone calls, that will be less money. However, you have to be extremely careful that when you give the business to them and when you go into them, that they're not going to tell you, well, if you want this is going to cost you extra
It's all
money.
a la carte. That's what it is. Wow. That
No,
is,
I would think a lot of families if they can't afford to do a burial, they would have to go through the cremation.
Right. And if there is a financial problem, I will work with them.
wow.
Oh, okay.
You know, again, it's so important that, you know what, maybe you don't need a service like this now, next month, 3 months, but eventually you will. I want you to write this number down. I don't want you to have to go Google somebody. This is not the time to Google.
Well, they can Google Weiss Memorial Chapel in Boynton Beach.
But we're gonna
Give
make
your
it easy.
website address, Jack.
It's weissmemorial.com, and the email is weissmemorialchapel@yahoo.com.
And Jack has been with us every month. We've gotten a lot of emails, people thanking us for offering a show like this. And there's no one else out there doing it. And this is probably an area that a lot of people have no experience at. And
Or don't want to think about, and now saying to themselves, let me make this easier for my family.
Exactly. And I've actually lost members, but a brother or sister did all the planning. I had no earthly idea. I have learned so much from Jack with this show, and we thank you for your participation. We know that we have the best on this show.
Absolutely.
We can't thank you enough for coming on today, and
we missed having your wife here. Say
Gloria.
hi to Gloria.
I do, too.
and we won't see Jack till next month, so we want to wish you a happy New Year and,
Yes,
and Gloria.
absolutely. Happy and
gonna
healthy.
Happy and healthy to everybody out there.
Exactly, and just thanks for your participation. Give them your phone number one more time.
561-737-0001.
That's Jack Weiss, the owner, the funeral director, the big kahuna.
The big macha.
of Weiss Memorial Chapel in Boynton Beach. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we have
Lou and Lou.
another expert on our show for foreclosure. We'll see you on the other side.
Weiss Memorial Chapel has been serving Palm Beach County for more than 40 years. Weiss Memorial Chapel combines a kind, caring atmosphere with the finest service and experience. Weiss Memorial Funeral Home is located in Boynton Beach, Florida, and is independently owned and operated. They are dedicated